Hi there and welcome along, great to see you. I'm Andrew Geeson and let's do some loose watercolours. So get your kit ready, sit back, relax and watch our new beginners tutorial, 3 little trees. Simple little trees, we'll just throw the paint on, watch magic happen before our very eyes and then we can do it ourselves. So that's what I'd suggest, watch it through once, relax, then get ready to paint yourselves and just dive in, enjoy it. Everything is possible in this style and I know you can do it, guys. So I shall see you at the end and enjoy your journey. So welcome along everyone to a great little simple watercolour trees tutorial. So I'm going to show you how I do loose trees very quickly with no stress at all and time for a cup of tea in the middle as well. So everything you need for a successful journey in watercolours. So let's get started. I've put 3 little lines on my watercolour paper and these are just going to be the centre of the trees. Okie dokes. So the first one, this side, I'll put a little mark and that is how high the trunk of the tree is going to be. And then the rest is going to be foliage. So then I need to decide how far out the foliage goes. So I'm going to put a few little dots, just give me a bit of a guide. And then I'm just going to sweep a few simple lines. I call them simple, they're just little waves, they're nothing special. They're not leaves or anything, it's just where the foliage may end up. That's where all the leaves are going to be. Here's where the trunk's going to be, so I'm going to bring that down and down. So we want it a reasonable width to be able to carry the weight of the foliage. Okay, that's your drawing done, guys. Nothing too exertative. Not a proper word, but it sounds nice. Okay, second tree. Let's have a different shape. We're going to go a little bit higher maybe with the trunk, so put a little dot, there's the top of the tree, and let's have this as a little fern, so I'm going to put a dot where the ferny stuff goes out to, then a few dots up to the top, and back down. Almost all we need. That's where the ferns are going to start, and then we're going to have the width of the trunk going down, and hitting the ground. And then these are going to be little lines going in and out either side, and I'll show you how to do those just in the paint very simply. Okay, tree number 2. Now let's have a smaller tree here. Let's have it about that big. I'm going to have this as a little sort of autumn blossom type tree. So let's take the trunk up to about there, just under halfway. We're going to scroll a few little lines down, then same this side, scroll a few lines. Now notice how I hold the pencil halfway, just let it drag. I'm not being very precise with it. That's where I want the foliage to be. And then I've got a little line down the centre, quite a thin one, it's got a delicate little tree, just to the ground. Now what I'm going to do, I think for the ground, I'm just going to put a little arched line, so slightly going up, then down, and that's where all my trees are going to be living. That's their hotel, that's their Airbnb. Okay, so that's the drawing, guys. Very straightforward, very simple. So if you do that, have a cup of tea, and then I shall meet you back here in a few moments. So welcome back everyone. Hope you had a nice bit of refreshment there as I did. So now let's get a bit of painting done. So I'm going to use a large brush. This is my large round brush and his name is Peter. No, he's not. It's totally not. His name is Big Brian. I've been using Peter the propelling pencil. This is Big Brian. Large round synthetic brush, round ended and about size 16. So I'm going to start off by putting the leaves on. So I'm going to get a little bit of water on the brush and just dab, which is put the brush down, press it out and move it a bit, dab, dab, dab. So I'm leaving some dry spots and some wetted spots, yeah? Not too much water, just enough to allow the paint to flow. So that's the colour, and I'm going to start off with lemon yellow. So this is a Winsor & Newton colour, you can see them all at the beginning of the video. I'm going to mix it to a coffee strength, so think of a cup of coffee, that's how thick I want it to be. There it is on the brush, look. There it is on the paper. All I do is press it down, press it down, press it down. Just on one side, this is the side the sunlight's coming into. Take it roughly to about halfway. Half of it painted already, it's quite quick, isn't it? Quite quick. Second colour is going to be sap green. These are all tube paints, but use whatever you've got, guys. Starting in the centre, I'm just putting this down. Sap green, coffee strength. Notice I'm leaving a few little gaps, they're quite useful. Okay, that's my second colour. Now my third colour, I'm changing brands now, totally unloyal. I'm going to a royal blue, which is a Sennelier colour. I'm just going to dab this in along this side a little bit and dab some into the green. Now I don't want a nice smooth edge, I'm just dotting a little bit just across the edge so it makes a few little leafy shapes. Yeah, got that on. Right, now I'm going to use a little bit of royal blue. Coffee strength, dabbing some of this on. So don't make too big a mark, put it on, because if the paper's wet then it will just bleed and float about and do its own thing. Okay dokes, job's a good one, all done. Last bit, I'm actually going to put some dark green on. I've got one called Cerulean green, which is a dark rich green. But you can mix a dark blue with your sap green and that should get it as well. So I'm just going to drop a few bits of this in, some in the centre, some to the edge, and then a few just to this edge as well. Now when I get to just right this edge, I make the smaller mark, so I lift my brush up and just catch it with the top end of the brush. Yeah, and it just gives those little flyaway leaf suggestions. Okay, all your colours on for that one. Job is done. Now I need to change brushes. I've got Miss Rigger here, which is a large rigger brush. This is of my own making, so you can get this from my little shop at watercolours, loosewatercolours.com. Large rigger brush, but you notice it's got a square end, which is quite useful in how I paint. So what I'm going to do is get the trunk on. And I'm going to start with Indian red. I'm actually going to put a little bit of water on the trunk for a start. There it is. That was quick. Then Indian red. I'm just going to drag that down one side. Now it's not fully painting everything straight away. I'm just dragging it and catching some little bits of line work in it. So when I pull this down, sometimes it doesn't hit all the paper. Yeah. And it catches those little lines in which look like the lines on the bark of the trunk. Now I want a darker brown, so I've gone for sepia, so any dark brown you've got will be absolutely fabulous. Bring that down. There it is, you see it meets the leaves. It's lighter one side and darker the other. And that is it, that really is it. Now what we can also do is go into the leaves Now I've got these little gaps. Now I can just start one side of the gap and just drag a little line through with my Miss Rigger brush. Same here, maybe make one a bit wider. And here, now notice I go this side, I go to the left, this side I go to the right, and if there's any gaps in the middle I just drag those straight up. And I do actually drag a few little bits through the leaves already, that are already there. Bit of sepia. May even drag one off this side, like, oh, there it goes. So I put my brush in there, wobble it about a bit so I've got some paint, and then just flick it into the foliage. Maybe another one there. Don't make them too big, and again, if you've got the good brush you can do this quite easily. So there is really my first tree. Now what I've got is a little bit of overspill, gathering of liquid paint, so I could leave that there to roll about, but if you want to move it, all I do is get a bit of scrunged up tissue. There it is. Terry the tissue, and just dip it, don't move it, just dip it into where it's gathered. If you want to lighten a few areas, just do that. Picks a bit off, gives it a bit of texture. So there is our first little tree. Yeah. Squirrels will be in there in a minute, I can tell. Right, okay, so now we're going to do a second tree, which is our fir tree. I'm going to use another brush, which is called a dagger brush. It's a large dagger brush, and mine's called Dangerous Dave. Yep. So if you've got one similar, that'd be great. If you've actually got a Dangerous Dave, that is fantastic, fantastic news. Bit of water again. Now what I'm going to do is put the water across this time. Do it once, then twice, so we've got enough on. Don't do it, don't scrunch everything on, because we like these little gaps, you see. So this time I'm going to start with turquoise, and I'm using an Artist Quality Winsor & Newton one on my Dangerous Dave brush, and I'm going to do it for a coffee strength. Now all I'm going to do is this. Just drag that into the middle. I'm slightly tilting the brush up and just dragging it. And I'm only really concentrating on this edge, not bothered where it goes in the middle particularly. Got that on. Now I'm going to use royal blue as we used before, Sennelier colour, and in the middle I'm going to drag that halfway across. Yeah. So some of it will bleed back this way, but most of it will stay in the middle. And then let's aim this way. I'm going to go for, let's have a look. I think a little bit of royal blue again. Sounds good. To about here, where I've got to with the previous blue. Not royal blue, sorry, this is cobalt blue. What am I thinking? Taking it to there, just add it to where you've got to. Be careful you're not going too far. And then the final colour is going to be that dark green again, which was Perulian green. Just flicking this out a bit. So I get my shape on for a start. Then I can drag a bit into the middle. And then a few little dots and dabs. That's a dot, that's a dab, just to the outside. And there is the start, well, say the start, it's not far off the finish, of my little fir tree. Okay, got that on. Miss Rigger again, let's get that trunk on. So, a little dab of water, then Indian red, we'll do it the same sort of colour. Dragging that down to about halfway. Then sepia, continue over this way. It's light and dark because the sunlight's hitting one side of the tree and not the other. So this is darker, that's lighter. It will bleed across, but that don't matter. So we got that on. But what I will do is drag a bit of a line up some of the centre. So this is the centre of the tree. Little dots, and that takes your eye right through the tree. Got a bit of sepia, so I can flick a few lines out again. So you can, if you look at a tree next time you go out, you can see some of the branches through the leaves, but not that many. And here it is, jobby good one. Let's have another little loose branch coming off here. So put it in, wobble it, flick it. Maybe this way as well. Now it's a bit awkward for me to paint that way because you're pushing the brush against the paper and it sort of scrapes. We don't need that at the moment. So I drag it back the other way. So paint in a comfortable fashion. That means put your slippers on as well. I quite often do. I've got paint brushes on my slippers. So there we go. There's our second tree. We're flying through these guys, flying through these. Do you want to do another one? Yeah, I can hear you shout. I can hear you shout. Let's go back to Big Brian. We've got a bit of water on. So this time we're just going to drag a bit over the top, drag a bit there, and drag a bit there. So it's umbrella, half an umbrella, half an umbrella. Let us start with Rose Opera, which is a Daniel Smith's colour, but any sort of light pink will be fabulous. So what I'm going to do, put a blob there, bit there, leaving quite a bit of gaps between the colours. So this is fairly central colour. Then I'm going to put some mauve, really light purple, towards this end, and little bits in the middle. So we're thinking of those sort of Japanese blossom trees. And I'm also going to throw in a little bit of purple, just little dabs, and also a few little dots at the far end of the tree underneath it. So the darker colours really are not darker leaves, they're more really where the sun doesn't really hit the leaf and keep it bright. Okay, got that on. Now then, let's do another trunk. Now this time it's very thin, so I've got no room to put water on particularly, but I've still got Miss Ringer to help out. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to start there, drag it down so it's slightly bent to one side, but then let's make it into a double pronged little trunk. So it goes up to about there and then it branches off. Drag a few lines through. If you can see where it goes through, just drag the lines in an appropriate place so it looks like it's growing naturally. Got that one on. Now, a bit of sepia, that's that dark brown one. Let's add a few more little branches off this bit. When it hits the wet paint, it just bleeds in. Now that is nice. That's what we're looking for. It won't go crazy. It'll only go as far as the amount of paint you've got available. So when it runs out of steam, it'll just stop, and you'll see it having a glass of water and a sit down because it can't go any further. Got that on. A couple of dark ones in here. Just flick a few into your wet leaves. And when you start half blinking at it, not blinking but half looking at it, your eye will just go through the tree and there it'll be all set up. So there really are our 3 simple trees. Now all we need to do underneath, a little bit of shadow. All I'm going to do, a bit of water. I've got another little brush here, Mini Dave, small dagger brush. All I'm going to do is run a little bit of water under the trees. I'm going to let some of the colour bleed out, and if it's dry I'll just agitate it like that. Yeah. And I'll put a bit of green in there as well. Sap green. So it's a little rugged bank. Lighter this side, a little bit darker this side. Just pulling this onto some dry paper, that's a nice scrape. And that gives a nice sort of effect. And the tree just bleeds into the grass there. And the final thing, a little bit of darker green, which is my Perulean green. I'm just going to do a few little dobs of this directly under the tree, each tree, not of each tree, and that's my shadow. So there we go guys, there's our little run through of watercolour trees. You've got a choice there, you could build your own forest if you want to, but give it a go. Great fun, very simple, very effective as well. So in no time at all you'll be painting your own trees. Well done guys, thanks for joining me, and I shall see you again very, very soon. So well done to you, that was fantastic. You watched the tutorial, you learnt all the little bits and bobs, and you give it a go yourself. That is fantastic news. Rejoice at that news. You've done so well. So that could have been your very first loose watercolour painting, and this could be the start of your loose watercolour journey. And it really is very rewarding. I've had lots of students who have started from this very beginning, and now they're actually flying, they're painting all the time, and they can't get enough of loose watercolours. So thank you again for watching. Please do subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I think in the bottom right there's a little click button there. Press that and then you'll be a subscriber. This will notify you when there's my next tutorials available. And if you'd like to explore this more, just pop down into the description. There's a click button there that will take you through to my channel, which is loosewatercolors.com. I've got oodles and boodles, over 300 videos on there for you to try, so there's bound to be something on there for you to enjoy, and you too could be a Lucy very, very soon. So thanks again guys, and I shall catch up with you very, very soon.